The air in my Seattle apartment smelled like rain and coffee, but something was wrong. I sat at the kitchen island, staring at a photo I found hidden in a drawer. It wasn't of us. It was a photo of Clara, my Clara, standing next to a man I didn't know, in a city she told me she had never visited. The silence in the room felt heavy, like a storm about to break. Outside, the sky was a dark, bruised purple. When lightning flashed, I saw Clara come through the door. She looked at me, and in that second, I knew our 3 years together were built on a lie. We met in New York City during a hot summer. I was a reporter who always chased the truth, and she was a woman who fixed old, broken books. We were opposites. I liked the noise of the city. She liked the quiet of her workshop. On our first date, I told her I wanted to find the biggest story in the world. She told me the best stories are the ones people try to hide. I fell for her instantly. We spent our nights eating cheap pizza and walking across the Brooklyn Bridge. I thought I had found the one thing in my life that was real. 3 years later, we were living in Seattle. I was working on a big story about a powerful company stealing land. It was dangerous work, and I was always stressed. Clara seemed different, too. She was staying late at her gallery, and her phone was always buzzing with locked messages. I thought she was just busy, but she felt miles away even when she was sitting right next to me. One Tuesday night, things got scary. A black car followed me home. My heart was racing as I ran into our building. I expected Clara to be there to tell me everything would be okay, but the lights were off. I tripped over her work bag on the floor. Things had spilled out. Among her brushes and pens, I found a passport. It had her face on it, but the name was different. It said Elena Vance. I sat in the dark for hours, waiting. When she finally walked in, her coat was dripping with rain. She didn't even turn on the light. She knew I had found it. "Who is Elena?" I asked. My voice sounded like a stranger's. Clara didn't cry. She didn't even look surprised. She walked to the window and watched the rain hit the glass. "Some things should stay buried, Julian," she said quietly. "I was sent here to stop your investigation. I was supposed to make sure you never published that story. But then I actually fell in love with you." I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. Every morning coffee, every trip we took, every time she said, "I love you," was it all a lie? Was I just a job to her? The fear got worse when she told me that the people she worked for were outside right now. They weren't just following me anymore. They were coming for both of us because she had failed to stop me. Suddenly, a brick smashed through our window. Glass flew everywhere. Men were in the hallway, trying to get in. We didn't have time to talk about the betrayal. We had to run. We scrambled down the back stairs and jumped into a taxi, speeding through the wet streets toward the airport. At the terminal, the adrenaline started to fade, and the sadness took over. We stood near the gates, surrounded by people who had no idea our world was ending. I looked at her, the woman I thought I knew, and realized I couldn't go with her. "I have the files for the story in my bag," I said. "If I go with you, I have to delete them. I have to disappear." Clara looked at me with tears in her eyes. "If you publish that story, they will hunt me forever. We can never be together." "I have to do it," I told her. My heart was breaking, but I couldn't let the bad guys win. I couldn't give up the truth, even for her. She nodded slowly. She knew me better than anyone. "I know," she whispered. "That's why I loved you. And that's why we have to say goodbye." She turned and walked into the crowd. I watched her blonde hair disappear among the travelers. I had my story, and I was going to change the world with it. But as I walked out into the cold morning air alone, I realized the truth had cost me the only person I ever truly loved. For weeks later, I was living in a small, cheap apartment on the outskirts of the city. My big story had been published. It was a hit. The company was being investigated, and people were going to jail. I should have felt happy, but my life felt empty. One afternoon, a small, plain box appeared on my doorstep. There was no return address and no name. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside, wrapped in soft silk, was a book. It was the first book Clara had ever restored while we were together. I flipped through the pages, and a small piece of paper fell out. It was a dried flower from the Brooklyn Bridge, the one I had given her on our first anniversary. On the back of the petal, in tiny, elegant handwriting, were 2 words, "Stay safe." I looked out my window at the gray Seattle sky. I knew I would never see her again. She was a ghost now, running from the people I had exposed. I had chosen the truth over love, and I had to live with that choice every single day. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed this tale of suspense and heartbreak, please subscribe to my channel for more stories every week. Don't forget to hit the like button and tell us in the comments what you would have chosen, love or the truth.